Hey guys, my name's Alexa Simos, licensed therapist. And on today's topic, we're going to talk about assertiveness in the workplace. Yes, it's a Sunday, and no one wants to even think about work today, so I'm sorry in advance. But here's the truth. The workplace plays a huge role in our mental health. And that makes sense because that's typically where we spend most of the day. The American Institute of Stress, yes, that's a real thing, reports that 83% of US workers suffer from work-related stress. And listen to this, work-related stress causes 120,000 deaths per year. Increased levels of job stress related to the perception of having little control but lots of demands have been demonstrated to be associated with increased rates of heart attack, hypertension, and other disorders. So, what can we do? If you're an employee, you likely feel like you have no leverage. You don't want to be the person that complains too much, but if you say nothing, you're always the one being called into work on your day off because your coworker's grandma's getting her appendix taken out for the 10th time in a row. Being unable to speak up at work can have long-lasting negative consequences. It can lead to stress, burnout, or render you almost invisible in a setting where promotions and raises are dependent on visibility. When you're assertive, you ask for what you need. You talk openly about what you want, and you recognize when someone is taking advantage of you. You can approach the things that you do with confidence and make a direct impact on your environment. But this doesn't come easy for everyone. Okay, so I'll be more assertive, maybe tomorrow, right? Well, communicating assertively isn't easy for most of us. At least not all the time and not in every situation. Most of us have a hard time communicating assertively because in one way or another, we're afraid. So we're left to communicate in the following ways. We communicate passively and just go with the flow because we're afraid that people will think badly of us or judge us if we express what we really want. Or because we don't want to deal with the drama and guilt tripping that would go along with standing up for what we want. We communicate passive-aggressively because we want the satisfaction of expressing our anger or hurt without actually taking responsibility for or accepting the consequences of it. And maybe the most harmful, we communicate aggressively and put others down because it makes us feel powerful and confident and alleviates our deeper insecurities. In each case, we tend to avoid assertive communication because we're afraid of how it will make us feel or others feel as a result. And while employing one of these three less optimal styles may help us avoid conflict or negative feelings in the short term, they almost always lead to negative results in the long term. In the passive style, we feel chronically dissatisfied with ourselves, ashamed that we can't stand up for what we want or believe, which leads to increasingly low self-confidence and self-esteem. In the passive-aggressive style, people lose trust and respect for us, and often are chronically frustrated and irritated because of our indirect and responsibility avoidant behavior. In the aggressive style, we become socially isolated, lonely, and even depressed because people in our lives are afraid to interact with us and open up to us. On the other hand, there's often temporary discomfort and blowback when we act or speak assertively. Speaking up for what we want produces anxiety and nervousness. Sharing how we feel leaves us vulnerable and may expose our insecurities and fears. Taking responsibility for our actions is difficult, and it requires a lot of work sometimes. The initial discomfort of assertiveness can even be stronger when the people in our life aren't used to us acting this way. Others may say or imply that we're selfish by not going along with their requests, or our attempts at being more direct and respectful may be met with initial doubts or mistrust. But ultimately, the habit of communicating assertively, of clearly and respectfully expressing our wishes and feelings, leads to the best outcomes in the long run. There are two important components to being more assertive. One is learning to treat yourself with respect, and two is building communication skills. Recognize your value. The first step toward becoming more assertive is nurturing a realistic and respectful perspective on your value as a person. Many people struggle with attribution problems, attributing their failures to internal flaws and their successes to external, like that went well because it was easier than everyone thought it would be, contributing to gnawing self-doubt and potentially a sense of worthlessness. Take a step back and think about what you contribute to your workplace. For now, try to quiet any internal criticism that wants to scrutinize your flaws, mistakes, and even failures. Those thoughts can evoke shame and cloud your ability to see your positive attributes. Take a balanced inventory of who you've been at work, noting both the good things that you've done and anything that you might want to improve on. Know your rights. Educate yourself on the things you're entitled to in your workplace. The big wall of posted notices in your lunchroom, your employee policy manual, or your job description. You might not know what's in all of that available material, despite it having an important information. Learning to be assertive in your workplace includes learning the legal and ethical boundaries of what you can expect from your work environment. For example, if you find that you're frustrated by being expected to work through lunch 4 times a week, this material can tell you if that expectation violates laws in your state, which can support your desire to stand up for what you need. If you are being harassed or subjected to mistreatment, there may be protections in place to help you. Knowledge can help empower you to seek what you need. Know your boundaries. Learning and respecting your personal boundaries is an important step toward regulating stress and frustration. Taking on extra projects despite missing important family events or continuing to answer work emails from your bedside despite the interference with a proper night's rest, burnout is made of these ingredients. Think about what you can realistically expect of yourself and respect your limitations. We are all bound by our humanness, and by time, there's no getting back around those things, even if deadlines are looming. Prepare and practice. First, prepare for being assertive at work in the safety of your journal, your therapy, or your close relationships. Imagine what it might be like to communicate something difficult to your coworker or your boss. Ask yourself the following questions. What is my goal? What do I want to say? How would it look like what I would want to say to someone? Act it out in your mind, playing out both the ideal scenario and the scenario that might kind of scare you. Try talking it through with a loved one who would be open to role-playing. Say out loud what you would like to communicate at work. If you don't, when the moment comes, your nerves might get you tongue-tied and it can feel easier to give up. Consider the things that are often difficult for you to say. For example, no, I can't. That makes me uncomfortable. And rehearse them for future use. Learn the difference between assertive and aggressive. Many people quiet their voices because they have come to believe that speaking up is synonymous to being bossy, pushy, or disrespectful to other people. Being assertive does not have to be any of those things. It only means to value your own thoughts, feelings, and voice, as well as those of others. You can continue to be kind, like a likable person, while communicating directly. Assertive communication doesn't look to bulldoze over other people. That would be aggressive communication. Its goal is to create the best outcome for you in cooperation with the others in your workplace. For example, I disagree with that is assertive and honest, and it opens up further conversation to move toward resolution. Now, if you're saying what kind of stupid idea is that, that's aggressive and it's minimizing, shutting down the conversation. Keep growing. The more you learn and grow, the more connected you can feel to your skills and your knowledge. Confidence is rooted in knowing yourself, your value, and the things you can offer to the world around you. Continue to cultivate your career and to acknowledge how your efforts and strengths bring benefits to your work environment. Have patience with yourself. As always, you make these changes. You may stumble through difficult conversations or lose nerve at the last moment, and that's okay. Many new things are hard at first, and building a direct communication style is a process. If you find that being assertive is particularly difficult, you can also address the issue through assertiveness training programs, group psychotherapy, or individual psychotherapy. Again, guys, I'm so sorry to bring up this topic again on your weekend, but it's so important to really reflect on how we are in our workplace and how assertiveness can really help us in the long run. I hope you found this information useful, and like and subscribe to get more content like this. See you guys next Sunday.